Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast of YarninBlak. Today I've got a really great guest speaker on and one of my friends, Kasey. Hi Kasey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We'll get back to you in a second. Just before we do start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm currently on. I'm here broadcasting from the land of the Wurundjeri people in Baldwin Q, and I pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. I'd like to extend that to any other Aboriginal people listening today, and especially to my guest, Kasey. So, Kasey, hi, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, who are you?
Cool. Can I just acknowledge the traditional owners on the land that I come from today, the Wakaruka and the Wakaruka people and the Bindal people. I'd also like to pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and to everybody that's listening today, including yourself, AJ. Um, I'll get straight into it. So I'm a Nyawagi woman from North Queensland, around the Ingham area. So I was pretty much, I grew up in Townsville most of my life. I decided to just sort of spread my wings and head down south for a little bit just to sort of check out some other communities. So I did 2 years in Canberra, so just working in the federal government sector. And then I relocated down to Melbourne and where I met the wonderful AJ. So yeah, but my background is, I've pretty much always worked with children and, in particular, the youth. I did sort of first start off in HR, but then I sort of felt the need to sort of work on the ground with my mob, and that's where sort of my passion lies.
Yeah. What do you like about
Yeah.
working with kids?
I just love the fact that, they're our future. And I think it's about keeping those values alive. Yeah, so with the up and coming generation, I can see that, we've lost a lot of values along the way. We sort of don't do things the way that we used to do things with, social media. And I guess they're a little bit more, um, what's that word, sort of influenced by, social media and what's happening. And it's important, I feel that it's important that we sort of bring our cultural values back in. And I'm fortunate enough to have a space to do that with the young people in and around Townsville. So, yeah.
So, what's your current job up there now?
I'm currently a youth hub coordinator, so I look after an after hours youth hub for low to medium risk young people. So those who aren't in the YJ system, just sort of having a space to be able to put together activities, for our young people to sort of drop in, like a drop-in centre. So we operate after hours from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. each night. We give them a feed. We focus on healthy relationships. We focus on, like anti-bullying and, healthy meals, and encourage them to sort of eat healthy. We do cooking. We do heaps of stuff. Yeah.
I've got a question for you. How connected to culture are some of the kids that you're working with?
Oh, good question. Um, I would say that some of the kids that we're working with, so we've got sort of like a variety of young people. So Um, but I can say that a lot of the young people aren't really connected to culture. I mean, I've had to introduce like a culture group into our program, so that they can sort of learn about, what culture is and what it means to them and how important it is to continue to keep culture alive. Yeah.
So when you were going to school, how much
Mm-hmm.
Indigenous studies did you learn at school?
Probably none. None at all. Yeah. I
Do you think that's changed?
remember. Sorry.
Oh, continue. But my next question was, do you think that's changing? But what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that, I remember being in school and, learning about, something that sort of I can recall is, drawing and colouring in, the Union Jack and, being told the story about, Captain Cook discovering Australia and all of those things. And I remember I was sort of really confused, like, where do I fit into this, So, yeah, there wasn't growing up or being in school, there wasn't a lot of culture that was taught in school. However, in saying that, I did have some teachers, as I got to um, the end of primary school that, actually came to me and sort of asked me, about how I did actually feel about it. Yeah, so interesting. I think it's changed a lot though in school. I think I think the fact that they're now teaching young people to do the acknowledgement and in some schools around Townsville for boys, they've got like a DIG program and they bring cultural mentors in and, they're now teaching the real history of this country. So, yeah, I think it's changed heaps. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've lived in Townsville, you've lived in Canberra, you lived in Melbourne.
Yep.
What's the difference between those areas for you? And what made you go back
Oh.
to Townsville?
I think, and to be honest, when I did move to Canberra, it was very much um in Canberra I had so much opportunity. So, I went there and even, like non-Indigenous mentors were like, use your Aboriginality to, to teach people. Like I just sort of thought, oh, I was going in there, but they were putting me into a space where I was able to they pretty much gave me that space so that I could educate, those organizations. So um I was employed, I remember, as a diversity officer in the Department of Innovation I was working at in Canberra, and I thought it was awesome because they didn't have any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander flags at the front of their work or displayed anywhere. And, they didn't celebrate NAIDOC or Reconciliation Week or anything like that. And, I just sort of went in there and I was like writing briefs to the secretary and, saying why these things are important. So, and I think down in Canberra, there are those organizations are very open to sort of, knowing about, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture and yeah, they just I think they do respect, there is a lot of respect for culture down there. Melbourne, I just absolutely love Melbourne. Like I'd never been to, I mean, even living up in North Queensland, we sort of just, we're just living blacks, but down in Melbourne, just the amount of Aboriginal and Islander events that I attended was awesome. And I loved the fact that there was, non-Indigenous people came along to support that, which is quite different from Townsville. We don't have like a large amount of, sort of followers that are non-Indigenous up this way. So, it's sort of left up to us to celebrate our own culture. So I think there's a big difference, especially, but down in Victoria, I just loved it.
Yeah. Now, one of the words going around a lot lately is reconciliation again. What does reconciliation mean to you?
Reconciliation to me means us working together, so, and I can honestly say that my experience of reconciliation that was most prominent was probably in Melbourne. When I, attended the marches and I just saw the large amounts of, non-Indigenous people that came along to support, and I think it's, reconciliation is about non-Indigenous people recognising their white privilege and using that to sort of, help empower, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and it's about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people educating, non-Indigenous people about, how, about their culture and sharing their culture and knowledge. And that's fun. Yeah.
So how do you define eldership in community?
Eldership, look, I think looking at the elders in our community, I sort of really look up to them. I just sort of just see them as a library of knowledge, So when I go to speak to an elder, I listen more than speak. So, when I do see, the elders in the community, I sort of become a little bit starstruck, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's Arnie, or there's Unc, because it's to me I just see them as just very wise, humble people, just with a wealth of knowledge, that I can sort of look up to, and for guidance. And
we talk about needing allies to help push our cause forward.
Yep.
What makes a good ally to you?
A good ally, oh my goodness, is somebody who, first of all, acknowledges, the history of this country, who can easily identify and say, yep, no, they just talk about all the wrongdoings, and they teach their children, about the history of the country, and like I've got a really good friend who always, she's always checking her white privilege. Like when she talks, she just speaks, not from a privileged point of view, but, she listens, and she asks the questions like, what can I do to help? And she advocates, she goes hard when she advocates for, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. However, she knows her place, she knows that she has the right to, give us a voice to speak. So, but she's always there to support, she'll always be there to back us up. That's probably a true ally. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced racism? And if so, what occurred?
Oh my goodness. I probably, I can recall experiencing racism from a very young age, And, you know, it's those little things that you just sort of pick up, you know, the way that people look at you, the way that people treat you. You know, I remember, and this is not too long ago, going into the bank and lining up, and, you know, the bank person, you know, going and checking, asking everybody what they needed and just skipping past me and, you know, trying to push the person who's behind me into line. And I'm like, hey, I'm here. Like, I've got business to do too, you know, so that's what I see as racism, you know, yeah, just that disregard for, you know, you because of your appearance.
Because you've lived in different areas, have you noticed it predominantly in more areas or all over?
I would say that there is down in Melbourne. I think that they're more accepting. I did not experience a lot of racism when I was down in Melbourne. However, up here, I still continue to experience racism, you know, a lot. But, you know, it's just, yeah, I can honestly say that, yeah, definitely more so up here. And, you know, it's not that they may be racist to your face. It's like the comments on the, you know, on the crime pages, or the comments on, you know, the Everything Townsville page, or, you know, and that's sort of where I think it's more sort of seeing it on social media rather than experiencing it. But, you know, it's I guess I don't sort of I've learned over the years not to sort of let that bother me. You know, I sort of can turn a blind eye to, you know, anybody being racist and I'll just go, well, you know what, I'm leaving that with you. If that's who you want to be, that's who you want to be, sort of thing. Yeah.
How do you maintain resilience?
How do I maintain resilience? Oh my goodness. I think it is just having that open mind. I think it's sort of understanding that everybody has got their own journey, and, you know, I don't take anything personal. So I think that's how I sort of keep maintaining my resilience. I think it's more about, you know, I've come to realize that, you know, it's not the situation, but it's the way that I respond to a situation. I think that's what's made me a bit more resilient, is, you know, just sort of, and having an understanding of, you know, where people are coming from. If they've got something, you know, it's something to say, or, you know, it's, you know, getting a deeper understanding of, you know, the whys and not the whats, sort of thing. Yeah.
Now, I know you're passionate in mental health as well.
Yeah.
And you actually did your mental health first aid instructor training course as
yes.
I can't remember what year it was, but I'm trying to work out that we've known each other for about 10 years now.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
What made you want what attracts you to mental health?
I think it's you know, like you know, I think my sort of goal, I don't know what it is, but you know, I think that I really like to have a good understanding of people and their behaviors. So I think, you know, and I always have been, you know, I've always been an observer, you know, sort of, you know, observing people and watching their behaviors, and I think what's drawn me to mental health is probably the fact that I've worked in, like, welfare, in the welfare sector, and trying to get a better understanding of where these behaviours sort of come from, and and wanting to help people understand themselves better, or learn to manage their mental health better, because I've heard a lot of comments like, oh, I've got anxiety, or I've got depression, or whatever, and that's it, like I sleep on my days, or whatever. And I think hearing all those comments in the past is sort of like, I'd like to help them, because that's not, you are not anxiety, you are not depression. It's sort of that need to want to help them understand themselves and help them know that they can come out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you've worked in government jobs, and I know you've worked in community. What
Yep.
do you love about working with community?
I just love seeing my mob. I don't know. I think working in government, you have to have this, and it takes a lot of energy to to dress up, like a professional every day, and go in and change the tone of your voice and be very professional. And I think working in community and being around my mob, it's a more sort of relaxed environment, and I love empowering my mob. I love the fact that they know that they can come and they can always ask for help, because I know that there's a huge shame factor within community, that a lot of community are really ashamed to ask for help. And I think working with community and being that face to make them feel comfortable to come and ask for help, I think that's sort of, what I sort of like about working in community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned it sounds like you just explained like how you might have to walk in two worlds, like the world and the community world. How do you help young people be able to navigate that working within?
Oh, it's hard. So, at my youth hub, I introduced what we call the 5 R's. So it's respect yourself, respect others, respect elders, respect equipment, and respect the community. And so those are things that we go through every night. So I explain to them, when you're out in community, you have to keep your behavior in check. You can't be screaming out, and you can't be swearing, and you can't be, this and that. So that's sort of like our baseline for how we should always behave. We should always behave respectfully. And when we break down all of those, all of the 5 R's, it's sort of it gives us the opportunity to talk to them about, okay, when you're at home, and it is breaking it down. It's teaching them, okay, what do you do when you're at home? How do you behave when you're at home? When you're outside or when you go to school, how do you behave? And it is a bit of a it is a bit challenging, because as young people, because we've got a lot of young people that sort of, go to school, we have to put a lot of work into them every night, giving them information. And, I say to my youth workers, we need to be consistent with our messaging, and that's teaching them to be resilient, Hence why we've got a lot of activities. I teach them, I talk to them about, mental health, and, how that impacts on them. I talk to them about alcohol and drugs, and we're always sort of checking in on our young people and questioning how that made them feel, and asking them, how could you have done that better? So we so it's sort of teaching them to learn to be a bit more resilient.
Yeah.
But it's it's consistent. It's something that, you know, I tell my youth workers, I'm not on the floor every night. I'm only on the floor a couple of nights a week. But, you know, I say to my youth workers, we have to make sure that we check in, see how their day went, and always ask them, how do you think your day could have been better? What do you think you could have done? So sort of, you know, teaching them to be accountable.
Yeah. And another R, really reflective.
Sorry?
And teaching them another R. Like a sixth R, reflective practice themselves.
Yeah. And they, you know, and it, you know, we do have, you know, I think a big thing in our community is a lot of our young people go undiagnosed, you know, which is, you know, sad, but like we can pick up, you know, but it's about educating the parents as well, because, you know, transgenerational trauma, parents may not have an understanding of, you know, those behaviors, and, you know, they just automatically think, oh, they're just naughty kids, you know. And I explain to parents, you know, kids don't wake up and choose to be naughty every day. You know, so it's about educating the parents. It's about it, you know, helping to sort of, you know, teach the young ones as well. Yeah.
If I could give you $1 zillion and a magic wand, what would you like to change in Indigenous affairs in Australia? Anything?
Oh, you know, I looked at this question and I thought, oh my goodness. In Indigenous affairs, definitely, you know, our own government, you know, and you know, sort of working together with, you know, like mainstream government. I think if I had $1 zillion, I'd probably have houses for everybody, you know, for everybody to be housed, especially with our housing crisis at the moment. I'd probably give everybody cars, and I'd probably pay for, especially here in the Upper Ross, a huge youth hub for young people to come in and be mentored and be, you know, to be schooled and be able to get their certificates and get their licenses. And yeah, I think if I had $1 zillion, I'd be like empowering everybody
That's good.
in the community. Yeah.
I think what some of our non-Indigenous listeners don't realise is that this is the first generation of some families where their kids are starting to get to year 12.
Yep.
And you'll be seeing that with some of the kids that you work with, that they are often the first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
2 last questions for you. The one of is, what's something that you don't normally tell about Kasey?
Oh, something that I normally don't tell. Oh my goodness. I'm pretty open. I tell everybody everything about me. Probably the fact that I'm afraid of the dark.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it. And yeah, I don't know.
That's right. Have you always been afraid of the dark ever since a kid?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, always. I also am actually afraid of dogs, but I've got 2 dogs. I got 2 dogs now, so, and I still get a little bit scared of them, but I'm kind of used to them now. Yeah.
So I'm just watching the time, but my last question is, what would you like people to walk away with from our yarn today?
Oh, I think my biggest thing is yeah, just be open to learning, you know. Just you know, don't take offense to Invasion Day and the term Invasion Day. Ask the question, why? Why do you call it Invasion Day? Ask how it's impacted on our lives, and just don't take offense if like our non-Indigenous people feel sort of left out, or if they don't know. And don't be afraid to ask the question, because if everybody's like me, I love it when people, come and ask me questions about my culture and, the whys, I've got a response like this or whatever. Just ask the question. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice. Yeah. So I want to say thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. You know how much I really love you and
or whatever. Just ask the question. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice. Yeah. So I want to say thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. You know how much I really love you and
Yes.
thank you. So what I want to do is say thank you very much, Kasey, for joining us. And guys, I'll see you at the next podcast. So see you guys later. Thanks.
Thanks
Bye,
for
Kasey.
having me.
5 and out. Cool.
Bye.
Done. That was done. How was that?